She had not planned to clean that night. She had planned to sit on the couch, watch something, and finally stop thinking. But somewhere between walking through the door and sitting down, she ended up in the kitchen, wiping the counter she had already wiped that morning, straightening things that were already straight, moving through the apartment in a slow, quiet loop. And by the time she was done, something had shifted. Not in the apartment, in her. The noise inside her head that had been running at full volume since morning had quieted. She could not explain why a clean sink made the anxiety easier to carry. She just knew that it did. If you have ever done something like that, cleaned not because the house was dirty, but because something inside you needed it, you already understand something that most people spend years trying to figure out. A clean home is not about cleanliness. It never was. It is about control in a world that mostly refuses to give you any. It is about the relationship between what you can see and what you feel. It is about the kind of quiet that only happens when your outer world and your inner world are finally saying the same thing. And today, we are going to talk about exactly what that means. Your brain does not distinguish between your inner world and your outer world the way you might expect. The space you live in is constantly sending signals to your nervous system, and most of the time, you are not consciously aware of receiving them. Environmental psychology has a term for this: cognitive load, the amount of mental effort your brain is using at any given moment. And here is what decades of research have found. Physical clutter competes for your attention even when you are not consciously thinking about it. Every pile of unsorted mail, every dish in the sink, every piece of clothing draped over a chair that you told yourself you would deal with later. Your brain registers all of it as unfinished business. And unfinished business is mentally expensive. A study from Princeton University found that physical clutter in your surroundings actually interferes with your ability to focus. It overloads your visual cortex and impairs your brain's ability to process information. So when you sit down to work or rest in a cluttered space and feel like you cannot quite settle, like something is pulling at your attention without you being able to name it, that is not a character flaw. That is your brain doing exactly what it was designed to do, scanning its environment for unresolved things, and finding them everywhere it looks. Flip that around. When your environment is ordered, your brain gets to exhale. The scanning stops. The background processing quiets. And the mental energy that was being used to register every unfinished thing in your peripheral vision is suddenly available for something else. This is why the person with the consistently clean home is not just tidier than you. They are often calmer, more focused, more able to rest when they want to rest. Not because of their personality, because of the signals their environment is sending their nervous system every hour they spend inside it. Think about how much of your life you actually cannot control. You cannot control what happens at work. You cannot control how people treat you. You cannot control the economy, the news, the slow accumulation of things that go wrong in a given week without your permission. Most of life is unpredictable. And for a lot of people, that unpredictability creates a quiet, constant hum of anxiety that never fully goes away. But your home, that you can control. The state of your kitchen counter, whether your bathroom has been wiped down, whether your bed is made, those are entirely within your reach. And every time you restore your environment to order, you send a signal to your nervous system. I am in charge here. I can handle things. This part of my life is okay. Psychologists call this internal locus of control, the belief that your actions genuinely influence your outcomes. And research has consistently shown that people with a strong internal locus of control experience less anxiety, greater motivation, and greater resilience in the face of difficulty. One of the simplest ways to reinforce that belief every single day is to take ownership of your immediate environment. Not because a clean counter will fix your problems, but because the act of cleaning it, the act of choosing to bring order to something within your reach, reminds your nervous system of something it is very easy to forget in difficult periods. that you are not helpless, that you can still act, that there is at least one corner of your world that responds to your efforts. And sometimes that is enough to keep going. But here is the part that changed how I think about this entirely. It is not just what a clean environment does for your brain. It is what the act of cleaning does for your identity. And once you understand this, you will see why some people maintain a clean home effortlessly, while others struggle no matter how much they try to force the habit. People who keep a clean home are not more disciplined than you. Let me say that again because it is important. They are not working harder at this. They are not gritting their teeth through a daily chore because they have more willpower than the rest of us. What you are watching when you see someone with a consistently clean home is not discipline. It is identity. Somewhere along the way, through repeated action and visible results, they internalized a belief. I am the kind of person who keeps their space clean. And once that becomes part of what you believe yourself to be, the behavior becomes almost automatic, because we act in alignment with who we believe we are. If you believe you are a disorganized person, a messy person, someone who simply cannot keep things tidy, your behavior will confirm that belief every time. Not because you are lazy, because you are being consistent with your self-concept. But here is what makes this powerful. Identity is not fixed. Identity is built through evidence, and the evidence comes from your actions. Every time you wipe down the counter after cooking, your brain registers a small piece of information. I am someone who takes care of my space. Every time you make your bed in the morning, you add another piece. I am someone who follows through on small commitments to myself. Do that enough times, and your brain has no choice but to update its picture of who you are. The goal is not to force yourself to clean every day through sheer willpower for the rest of your life. The goal is to do it consistently enough, long enough, that you stop being someone who has to force themselves to clean their own home, and start being someone who simply does it. Because that is what they do. The shift from one to the other is not dramatic. It is just repeated, one small action at a time, each one quietly building the evidence for a different story about who you are. There is something else happening when people clean that almost nobody talks about. Think about the moments in your life when you have reached for a broom or a vacuum when you were not even thinking about cleanliness. When you were stressed. When you were anxious. When something happened that you could not fix and your hands needed something to do. That is not random. And it is not avoidance. At least not only avoidance. Psychologists call this behavioral activation, the clinical term for using physical action to shift your emotional state. When you are anxious and sitting still, your nervous system stays activated. The stress hormones keep circulating, the thoughts keep cycling, and nothing inside you gets to discharge. But when you get up and do something physical, especially something with a clear beginning, a middle, and a visible end, you give your brain a way to move that energy through your body and out. The dishes get done, and something inside you settles. Not because the dishes had anything to do with what was bothering you, but because your nervous system completed something, and completion feels like relief. People who clean regularly have often stumbled onto this without being able to name it. They have built a habit that serves them emotionally just as much as practically. The physical act of restoring order to their space helps them restore something to their internal state. The outer process mirrors and supports the inner one. And this is why a clean home, at the end of a hard day, does not just look better. It feels different, like a message from yourself to yourself. The day is done. You handled it. It is time to rest now. Research published in the Personality and Social Psychology Bulletin found that people who described their homes as cluttered or full of unfinished projects had measurably higher levels of cortisol throughout the day, compared to people who described their homes as restful and orderly. Not just when they were in the cluttered room, throughout the day. The state of the space they lived in was affecting their baseline stress level every hour, even when they were somewhere else. That is worth sitting with. Because most of us assume that the mess is just background noise, that we are not really affected by it. But the research suggests otherwise. Your home is not just where you live. It is something your nervous system is in constant conversation with. And what it says back to you depends entirely on what you have built inside it. This is also why, in periods of difficulty, the home is almost always the first thing to deteriorate. When someone is going through depression, their space tends to reflect it. Dishes pile up, beds go unmade, things accumulate that would normally be dealt with. And then the clutter feeds the depression. The chaos outside amplifies the chaos inside, until it becomes very hard to tell which one started it. Because they are not separate, they never were. The woman in the kitchen that night was not cleaning because her apartment needed it. She was cleaning because she needed it. Because somewhere in her, without being able to fully articulate it, she understood something that takes most people years to realize. That the state of your outer world is one of the most accessible levers you have for shifting your inner one. That when everything else feels out of your control, the counter, the sink, the made bed in the morning, those are yours. That every small act of bringing order to your space is also an act of bringing order to yourself. You do not have to become someone who loves cleaning. You do not have to spend hours maintaining a perfect home. You just have to understand what is actually happening when you do it. And let that understanding be the reason you start, even small, even imperfectly, even just one surface in one room on one difficult evening. Because the home you come back to at the end of a hard day is not just a place, it is a message, and you get to decide what it says. If any part of this landed somewhere real, leave a comment below. You do not have to explain yourself. Just say, "This is me," and I will know exactly what you mean. And if someone in your life is living in a space that is slowly draining them, someone who cannot quite figure out why they feel tired when they come home, send this to them. Not with a message, just send it. Sometimes understanding why changes everything. Take care of yourself. I will see you in the next one.